Welcome back to the Forge of Champions quarterfinals. Upset City is potentially upon us as EXCEL are in a position where Hyperion may potentially take Game 3 off of them. And it's been the story of tonight. Barrage, you know, in Game 1 looked so strong against Enclave. They didn't quite win it, but in Game 2 they did. Enclave had to bring Rift back despite the fact that he's in a really sore position with his, you know, his wrists, you know, was not ideal for Enclave that they had to do that. But EXCEL, they don't have that excuse of, you know, having a player out potentially with medical issues. I mean, they're just not hitting the notes they need to hit.
Yeah, I mean, the entire bracket's on fire, and this time it's not because of LVP. This is this is looking so strange right now because Barrage actually put up a good standing against Enclave. Now suddenly Hyperion, the 7th place team, is putting up a decent fight and look like they could win versus the second-seeded team. Are you sure there's a correct bracket?
We definitely said that Hyperion had the most potential to upset here against EXCEL.
Yeah.
Honestly, based on that performance, they're the one making the better proactive plays.
Yep.
I mean, I'd feel horrible for Bird Dog over an EXCEL. He drafted a perfect competition. All they had to do was slow it down. They give away a bad Baron. They decide that they're not going to fight off the pushes. And once they don't fight in those pushes, they allow the 3 inhibs to go down. They're forced to engage there, and yeah, they lose that one, but that's not where the issue lies. The issues lay long before that. First of all, when they gave the Baron, and second of all, how they played around.
Because the thing is, they've got Quixith on an engaged champion in these games, and it's like, okay, yeah, Quixith, we need him to be the guy pulling the trigger because EXCEL's really struggling to pull the trigger. He's sitting back and struggling to do that as well, and they've got nobody willing to actually make the play that's necessary to when the play is needed to be made. It ends up being either 2 minutes too late or 30 seconds too early, and it ends up costing them so dramatically all the time that they don't want to get into these fights when they desperately should be forcing themselves to, when they have the advantages. Like, one of the fights was around Dragon where it was fair because the fight didn't go their way after Darius got all 5 stacks of his passive, then Poppy ulted him away, and he instantly got stuck outside of the fight, couldn't make any impact. So the fight ends up going 2 for 1. So, okay, yeah. The fight didn't go as well as possible because Poppy got a nice ultimate. But no, that turned out that was every single fight because they were always finding really awful times to engage and really awful angles of engage. And Poppy was able to just ult away people consistently.
And we've actually seen this before when you go the Poppy Darius matchup. Poppy sucks in lane.
Yeah.
So when you get out of that, you can deal with Darius quite effectively. The biggest issue I ran into is, why is Darius team fighting with them?
Yeah.
This is the exact same issue I had when
was
Enclave
Rippy the one split pushing?
Yeah, why not
without teleport?
Yeah. Why not just stick to the Darius split push? Because he's much less, he's much easier for Poppy to focus out in the middle of a fight.
I just don't know what's real anymore at this point.
My opinion of aggressive drafts as well is I often think that the people who make the most proactive plays are generally playing smarter because it means that the enemy team's win condition is, okay, we hope they don't execute theirs.
Yeah.
But what comes down to it here is EXCEL's win condition was still there before Baron comes up, which is still in plenty of time.
Yeah.
They still have time to fight around it, and then they misplayed. Proactive play was made by Hyperion, and good reactive play as well, and they just forced that down.
This has been an issue for both Enclave prior to their 3rd game and EXCEL. It's just a lack of proactivity throughout. And they've been unwilling to pull the trigger on those plays. We keep harping back on this because this is EXCEL's biggest issue.
Yeah, there's a reason it keeps getting repeated.
Yeah.
It's not just because we're out of points. It's because this is literally...
Yeah.
It's
the one reason why they lost the last game, essentially.
But it's also that big a mistake. It's that big an issue that it bears repeating. You have to continuously say it because it's what's causing it.
Yeah, when you look back to the root of what went wrong in that game, it always just comes back to the same thing every single time.
Yeah. I want to talk more about this because we're obviously going to have to. There's a game coming, but I do need to push forward this survey just a little bit because we are about to head into our final, and we want to get all your feedback back. If there is literally anything you want to talk about, survey, Twitch chat, do it. Appreciate it. Draft is on our way now.
I'll see how much you hate your shirt.
Thanks, son.
I think it's all right. I think
no problem, Dad.
Fine. It's fine.
It's fine. Thank you. I appreciate it. It means a lot coming from you. Okay, so one thing, you ban Poppy this game because DanXD is just too good at it, and you don't want to give Hyperion comfort.
It should be so easy to play around. It seems so dumb, but maybe. Honestly, maybe.
Unfortunately, I have to agree. It seems like a pick that you want to just be able to play around and ignore. And I think that Ferndog has enough trust in his team that he will still try and play around it and ignore it. But it is a pick that you should be banning in the situation where DanXD has so much comfort on it, and it's
in the second. You can ban it in the second round of bans because you know, if you're really locking it in the first round, then you've got so much control of the draft. And the draft wasn't even the problem. Like,
the draft was
for
amazing.
EXCEL, it was the honestly felt like it was the draft that was going to win.
Only way it could have been different is if you placed the Aurelia with like a Vladimir, and then that's perfect for me.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anymore.
It was an experience, not one that I think EXCEL are rushing to repeat. So now it's on them. Get some proactivity going. Maybe pick up the Gragas here.
Well, that was their first lock-in in the Game 1 series. It is going to be their lock-in here as well.
Expect Trundle in response, or Sejuani.
Trundle, Lucian would
go for the Lee Sin again if you want.
You could go for Lee Sin, but at the same time, Lee Sin versus Gragas is a better matchup for Gragas than we saw in the last game for Sejuani. So I would.
But I mean, they picked it blind last time too.
Yeah, I would just still.
Yeah.
Oh, he's just happy to go back to it. He's going for what worked last game.
There you go.
He actually was. He was pretty decent on it. I would say that. I wouldn't say that he justified picking it so early, but because it's not going to be a contested pick at all. You can pick it whenever you want.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he proved that he was worth putting on Lee Sin, and I wouldn't be too disappointed with it if I was Hyperion at all.
No, I think it plays into their hands of, look, we know that the late game could be quite dangerous.
Yeah.
So we'd rather never get there.
Yep. Yeah, no, I think that's true.
Well, speaking of late game.
I mean, this is just a repeat of the first game draft so far. Nothing is changed other than the fact that you have a Lee Sin rather than a Trundle. But EXCEL, they drafted in such a way that they were able to play around the massive amount of wombo combo that Hyperion drafted, and I think Hyperion will be hesitant to do the same thing because of EXCEL's ability to dance.
But you see the pick that they did ban away that has been very strong is the Orianna.
Sure.
So they wanted to get rid of ADM's Orianna. That was such an important pick in both of the last 2 games, and we saw how many 4-man shockwaves he landed in the last game. It wasn't like one-shotting anybody, but it slowed down the engage of EXCEL so effectively as they all just walked over the ball.
I don't see why not, honestly.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
Go for it, yeah.
We talked about why it's really good. Now you also have the chance to ban away his counter, so he can also win lane if he wants. Maybe he doesn't want to win lane. Maybe he's just like, you know, I'll do fine anyway. Don't worry about it, guys.
They're trying to bait out the Darius. The Darius doesn't provide anything in terms of team fight if he's trying to get in, because I can just bop him away. So let's just bait them into it, I guess, because he was really happy playing against it in the last game, and so was Demo, to be fair.
Yeah.
Where do we see this draft going? Do you think EXCEL, you know...
I see it going on the Rift.
Do you think EXCEL change up, you know, the latter half of the draft? The Victor, the Gnar, do we think we go for something different?
I wasn't super
sold
enthusiastic on the Victor. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think it was bad.
Oh, no, not by any means, but it seems like it had a lot less impact than ADM's Orianna.
And I liked they ban away the Gnar here, because I was actually saying I still think the Gnar is actually a better choice than Darius, because it does more of the team fights.
How do you feel about Syndra, though, into Kai'Sa, into the potential mid laner that EXCEL picks up here?
I mean,
because tends to be ADM's backup.
It's not awful. I don't love it. I don't think it's amazing into the kind of comp EXCEL are running. But however, if it comes down to comfort, I don't see why you don't lean towards comfort at this point in Hyperion. This is potentially yours and EXCEL's last game. You want to stand up.
Another hyper late game champion here in the Ezreal.
Yep.
So with the double tier build, has the ability to at least try and compete with Kai'Sa in the late game, because he's going to have the ability to, of course, he'll have the Iceborne Gauntlet, he'll have the shield from the Seraphs, he's going to give himself that much more safety to at least try and compete.
And this looks like it will be a Gangplank locked in as well for
Sendo, again, moving back to comfort might be the right call here.
Yep.
Yeah. Especially into Poppy here, picking Gangplank is fine, yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely like that.
What I'm looking at on the other side, though, with Ezreal, it's not even necessarily late game, because Ezreal with Braum is actually a decent lane, too.
Yeah, yeah.
It's very safe. It
well,
push, but
of course you can proc the concussive blows with your Q, making it that much
easier.
You
get the extra attack speed as well. It's nice. But still Kai'Sa, Alistair, who should probably have the priority there.
Azir.
I think it makes a lot of sense.
Blind Azir is risky, though. We've seen a lot more counter picks come up to Azir in recent times, and most of them have been poke. So we've seen things like Lethality Varus into it, Xerath into it, Vel'Kod's into it. Obviously, Vel'Kod's banned. It seems like the kind of champion that ADM would fall back to as a poke-based champ into it.
You also seen you historically saw a lot more engaged champs into it as well.
So things like the LeBlanc, for example.
Yeah. I've actually seen previously it was like full AD Jarvan as well. Which
Yeah. Oh, you could just ult. You could ult as It was Kuro's thing in Korea. Yeah. I remember that. That was a lot of fun. Now we see
much more standard mid lane, as I believe it was Dowsey mentioned. ADMs generally move towards that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I believe it was him also.
I'm glad to have your belief.
Yes.
I believe in you, Dad.
It's gonna be a long night.
But thankfully, this is the last cast of the night, so that we can we can send Isa over towards the pizza corner.
Oh, we got pizza.
We do have a pizza corner, by the way. That's great.
Corner, yeah.
I've just been eating pizza while these guys have been casting. It's been great.
Yeah, and me and you can.
I'm just sitting in the corner waving while eating pizza.
And then you come back and torture us some more.
Yeah. Then I go and eat more pizza. It's great. It's prime time light.
But let's have another focus on the comps here, because I think Hyperion, they have the comfort there. They have a lot of strengths in the lack of their mid game, their burst very much there between Lee Sin and Syndra. There's decent amount to respond with Alistair Gragas able to just run into them. I just feel like one wrong call and Hyperion is so ready to punish you.
It's really reminiscent of comps we used to see back in like February, when you used to see like Ezreal, Gangplank, and Azir all on the same team. And it would just be the hyper late game, farm till late. You'd see Sivir in those games as well. And it's just like hyper late game. We will win once we hit 6 items sort of compositions. And both teams have kind of bought into that, but at the same time, Hyperion has the tools early to try and net an advantage so they can snowball to that point in the game. EXCEL is entirely reliant on the fact that Gragas will have to make plays to get them there.
I mean, that's what I'm looking at. I feel like while EXCEL have more engage options, they've just been failing the execution more than Hyperion.
Yeah.
Hyperion have limited the scope of what they could do, and it's almost like in doing so, they're able to execute it on better.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think this is... I much prefer this composition from Hyperion.
And unlike game 1, their win condition isn't hoping their opponent fails theirs.
Exactly.
So they've actually got a win condition they have to play to, which means that they'll fail to play to it. Because maybe EXCEL's like KT. We started believing in them in last game, and then they just failed. So now we don't believe in them. They'll start actually playing well.
I can see it. I don't see why not. We should
see
just
if you turn that logo on its side, it looks kind of like a K.
Yeah.
It's,
I get it.
Yeah, it's KT.
It's all hidden there. And I guess Hyperion...
It was KT the whole time.
Yeah. Not exactly the Korean shot calling we've been used to.
Not at all.
Depends if you watch a BBQ or not.
You know what? Maybe. Certainly I think EXCEL have struggled, but at the same time, they still are a strong team that, yeah, they messed up in game 2. Previously, they've been making a lot of right calls. Can they return to that now, returning to more similar to their game 1 style? On the other side, with Hyperion, they've gotten lucky. Won game 2. Let's move towards that again. This time with ADM off Orianna. That's why I'm not.
I don't think it's fair to dismiss them completely. They've got the Gangplank, they've got the Azir, they've got the Kai'Sa, they've got a lot of late game damage. And if they can get any sort of early game advantage to get them there with any kind of gold lead, they can blow the game wide open. So I definitely think that their win condition for EXCEL is pretty solid. Yeah. But on the other side, it's we saw Hyperion succeed with a very similar composition last game, and they executed really well in punishing EXCEL's mistakes. And EXCEL keep making mistakes. They're not letting up on those mistakes at all. They've not improved their play. So unless we see a much cleaner game from them, where they aren't positionally making errors, you don't see Venza diving into the backline and making mistakes, or Rippy standing too far forward and having to blow his flash, maybe EXCEL can close it out. But if not, Hyperion look decent for this.
I think Hyperion have all of the opportunities and tools required to win in the mid game, push into the late game with an advantage and win.
Yeah.
The issue is that if we head into the mid game somewhat even, if we head into the late game even just a little bit lower than what Hyperion are outputting, then EXCEL's comeback is so insured. And it requires Hyperion...
Ready for 57 minutes?
Well, no, I'm not. because I don't think it takes that long for EXCEL to win.
Maybe, yeah.
I mean, you might have said that last game too, or game 1 even. So
No, game 1 I respect everything that EXCEL did, even if it did take a long time.
Yeah.
The level
Well,
of
at least
respect that they showed.
After they got to the point where they were able to
Yeah.
outplay the Wombo.
Yep.
Yeah.
But in this game, they don't have that issue.
Mm.
There's not as much of a straight up Wombo combo, all ults at once type composition you have to play against.
Without any consistent hard engage, where's the trigger pulling? And do you have to rely on Hyperion engaging on you and making mistakes?
I still feel like you've Grags, Alistair. That's fairly dedicated engage.
I think maybe it's enough compared to what they had last game, yeah, maybe. But it's still not enough to the point where I can go, oh, yeah, they're secure. If they had enough solid engage, they had like 3 members with decent engage, yeah, I can say that I'd predict EXCEL easily.
Using the term secure in this series would be brave.
In this
Yeah.
broadcast. Just today.
Yeah.
Like, there has been no security. They let you cast, I mean.
Yeah, they let, me,
Ooh.
they let me in the building, exactly.
Clearly security are
There's
their
no
job.
security because they're not throwing me out, exactly. I mean, it's past my curfew. You said it's bring your son to work day, right?
I did.
You're a terrible father.
Yeah.
I'm still here.
Yeah, you're a terrible father.
Why did you just get the free pass today?
I mean, have you tried insulting me?
No, I can't.
Yeah.
It's a little bit hard.
I'm just.
I don't really have enough to, like, go on.
got all this to go on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
you
the
fight.
issue.
Insult, right?
Yeah.
Unlucky.
It is. Well, lucky for some.
Can't insult this fine specimen of a man. It's too hard.
Your accent sounds funny.
Damn right. That's clean.
Haha, you're white. Damn, wait, no. Ah.
Save us, production! Let us get onto the rift. We are dying here.
Yeah.
And this is the last of the games for the quarterfinals for this bracket. It's not the last of the games. We've got tomorrow to go. I lied.
Yeah,
Last of today's games.
Last of today's games. Hyperion versus EXCEL. Just to reiterate the stakes at hand with this game, loser gets knocked out. That is it. You don't get a chance to play for the EU Masters.
You
You
don't get a
are-
chance to chill with us on Barcelona either.
Yeah.
That's a big loss.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Missing out.
That's
I
true.
mean, like they don't get to go to the pizza corner.
Yeah. They just get to go to the regular corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is it. One way or another, one of these two teams will be making it to the semi-finals. And if you were to say one team deserves it more than the other based on tonight's series,
So far, Hyperion, I think they've really stepped up. They've been more aggressive. And, I mean, they've kept it entertaining. Gotta credit them with that too. So, off just tonight's series, I'd say them. But, see if EXCEL could turn it around in this last game. Show why they were second seed. Show why they've been looking like a top 2 UK team until probably before Forge of Champions 4.
yeah.
Yep.
You in agreement there? Think Hyperion deserves tonight?
I think Hyperion have shown enough to win without anybody really doubting them, especially with the performances they've had in the past with the 2 semi-final berths already. They've proven that they can be top 4. And with this, with their bot lane actually here, and performing, you gotta say, they've not been bad at all. Yusa's had his moments where he's been a bit shaky, but other than that, yeah, I'm pretty convinced that Hyperion's not a bad team at all. They're probably top 4, top 5, like we said, if they hadn't had that issue with the bot lane.
I mean, if you want to talk about Yusa being shaky, that's fine. He's now picked probably the safest AD carry you can go to.
Oh, yeah.
If you're worried about your performance, just pick Ezreal, hang back.
He's a bit of a klepto now, though.
Absolutely. See if that works out for him. See if he picks himself up anything fun.
He's got a mana potion. It's always a good one to start with in lane. So
On the other
get
side, we
spam
are
at those
seeing
views.
the Gangplank lane win. Sendo as well, more comfortable on the Gangplank potentially than that Darius. So we'll see if winning on that means that much more later on.
So the thing that I actually like quite a lot about Klepto is not only do you get the gold generation from it, it means that if you have a laning phase that would be rougher, say you're against the brand and you keep on getting chunked low, you just steal a bunch of potions from him, and then instead of selling them in base, you just use them and you're able to stay in lane much easier. It makes your laning phase that much easier than it would have been otherwise.
Sometimes stealing's good, guys. That's I think Iser's point.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. Or at least helpful. it gets you things. And things are great.
It gets you things you probably wouldn't have had otherwise. It's useful.
Yeah.
No comment. Alright, well, no kills in this early game, so unfortunately we have to wave goodbye and say...
You're just hopping off unceremoniously this time around.
Normally there's a replay that just transitions through and makes it easy for you. Go and enjoy the pizza, my friend.
Yeah, he's literally running off to Pizza Corner.
Here we are.
It's like Chocolate Town, you know? It's like this fairy tale land.
There is actually chocolate bars over there as well, I believe, on the shackled
Okay,
shelves.
so he's got Pizza Corner and Chocolate Town going on for himself.
He
Okay,
literally
nice.
does.
Demo.
And water.
Demo's here in the mid lane.
Demo is here. Yep, Rippy. This is the first time we've seen Hyperion be super proactive in the mid lane.
I think that's nice. I think Demo has shown a lot of versatility. He's moved around the map really interestingly in the previous games. He's kind of changed up his style depending on how the game's playing out.
I love the fact that Demo has been able to get this early.
And now, actually both junglers almost running into each other. Sorry.
No, you're right.
I was really hoping for something hypier there, but they both kind of spotted each other and went, you know what? I'd rather not today.
Probably not the way I want to start off my game 3 in this quarterfinal series. Knockout series.
You can see now with that little bit of armor, having a little bit of an easier time into Gangplank, but Gangplank, who likely backed off and picked himself, I was going to say the Sheen. I was 100% correct. I absolutely swear. Yeah, he had enough from the Klepto to pick himself up the Sheen.
Yep.
That's good as well. I mean, he's getting a lot of trading power with that, on top of the fact he just has more mana to spam the Qs with. He's happy.
Is Dan ganking? No, he's just...
He could have.
He was looking for deep vision.
Yeah, he's actually
in a bit
kind of just missed Gragas on the way back there, but I think that's alright for him. It's kind of hard to gank for a Gangplank.
Yeah.
So it's unlikely you'll see much action up there unless Demo thinks he can get a quick kill onto Sendo. Even then, that should be pretty hard in the matchup that's in it, unless Sendo's chunked low by the Poppy.
Which you don't
really expect
a Poppy to do either. Nice little knock there from ADM, but level 5 hasn't hit level 6 yet. So oppressive, the Scatter the Meek into Syndra's ultimate.
Yeah, Scatter the Week is a real fun one. It's honestly really good for engage if you're a great Syndra.
Yep.
And if ADM's Orianna's anything to go by, definitely should be looking at that rather soon.
Does feel like I mean, we've seen Scatter the Meek just be like Orianna's ultimate just be used so you can then engage. Oh, Demo. It's a counter gank, but it's more just a love tap than a bop on the nose.
Heavy love tap with that the size of Gragas. Quick trade backwards, and now it's a Snuggly and quick set. War the wards.
Oof. Snuggly wins.
Snuggly wins, but good turnaround from Venzer with the Q. The Q alone makes that a good trade for them.
Yep. I feel like this is the stage where both these teams fall slightly more into a passive style, with Demo kind of being the proactive player on this game.
Yeah, I mean, slower game is decent for EXCEL. They don't want it to be a massively explosive early game, because massively explosive early game tends to mean Lee Sin is popping off. So instead we're seeing it slow down, as you mentioned.
For Hyperion, honestly, that game 2 victory is enough validation you need to know that you can win this series. You're already feeling pretty good about the fact that the last time you had this roster, you were pulling unexpected results anyway. But now you've made it a reality against EXCEL, who they're just shaky.
Yeah. They're looking a bit shaken, certainly in this series, if nothing else. And now it is they've got control over the bot side now, and they're engaged force from Hyperion.
Oh,
Not sure they want this.
No, they don't. First blood comes through from Taxa. Nice little counter gank coming through. New level 6 was going to come through very quickly for that Brom, and they just didn't care.
Yeah, that was dangerous. They decided to go for that play without vision in that brush, knowing that a control ward was there as well. You could see Demo was actually trying to play around it, playing outside its vision radius. Instead, all that meant was Taxer was there first.
First blood at 8 minutes. It's definitely a slower game so far from these two teams. But of course, EXCEL the ones to secure it. Very important they can continue denying Demo the influence he wants on this Lee Sin.
Looking now at Dan, who's, you know, still behind in this matchup, but not going terribly. Certainly, I would say it's a better matchup for him than Darius, but potentially, as the game goes on, he'll regret not having had to lose lane to Darius.
Right, yeah.
And they have to deal with Gangplank, who's already looking at relatively close to that Triforce.
Doing pretty well. Last hitting nicely. And of course, you're getting that extra gold anyway. And right now, I mean, Dan, single champion Poppy, he knows this matchup all too well. He knows relatively any matchup when it comes to Poppy all too well. You have to wonder exactly how he's going to feel playing on into this game. Because Hyperion, you know, this is such a confidence booster when you have your top laner, Dan, who's, you know, not really contesting any of the top laners in any which way. Not really kind of challenging them in a super way.
Yep.
But if you can feel comfortable that he's just going to do what he does best, then that's such a good position to be.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think a lot of this comes down to how the mentality is playing for these guys. And we talked about it in previous series, how Ferndog's great at resetting mentalities as well. So potentially EXCEL coming into this game 3, they look to be playing to their strengths. They look to being able to slow this game down. They're not struggling too much. Taxer's managed to get the gank off ahead of Lee Sin. While it took a while, that's honestly fine for them, as long as Lee Sin didn't get off any plays in the meantime.
Another engage coming through, and Taxer's in the bot lane. Snugly disengages with the ultimate. Yusa throws out the true shot barrage just to lay down the damage. But it's still not over. Demo's in the mid lane, but he can't secure the kill into Rippy.
Yep, forces out the barrier, but again, he's fine with that as long as he's consistently surviving these plays. And it's Hyperion again, somewhat on the back foot here. I'm really interested to see how these team fights play out, though, because I think that's where you're going to see one team stand above the other.
Yeah, no, and I agree. Right now, lots of respect shown by EXCEL. If you just look at the vision that they've controlled in the river so far, they've kind of had a really good idea of where Demo may be and the gank pass that he can take, which has forced him to be slightly more creative and opportunistic.
I mean, you can also see that part of that is probably why he's playing around the mid lane, where there's always going to be more paths available, an almost unwardable number of paths. And now it's Hyperion who are being pressured off their tower bot side. But you have Syndra here to respond.
Just to disdain. Make sure that nothing happens.
Yeah. Just waiting any potential dives there that Gragas could have pulled out, knowing that Demo was on the other side of the map, actually picking himself up Herald, but now that's actually become kind of difficult for him.
This is Sendo looking just straight up steal. Rippy comes through. Yeah, wow, what a huge steal coming through. Now they engage in the bot side. It's EXCEL all over the map. Snuggly's left to dry, and he will go down. And oh, and King Instinct. It's a double kill coming through. They take down the jungle. They take down the bot lane. They pick themselves up the Rift Herald, but then leave it for DanXD to... What?
Yeah, they didn't have the time. Lee Sin tried to die taking the Herald, but literally wasn't alive long enough to survive with them. So it's actually DanXD who picks up that Herald. So let's have a quick look at that again. This is back towards the bot lane. While this play was going on the top side, you can see setting up the same standard dive they've been looking for before. See, they managed to pick up there, and then here's the engage. They just force that. Very simple yet solid play coming out from EXCEL.
Really nice stuff across the map, and when you know the jungler is down there, you can force that kind of play without any fear. Quickstep forced to flash over the wall.
No, Hex Flash gets him out there, actually. So it's not even his own Flash Force, which is already used, I believe, in that play.
Nice.
So he's happy.
Really nice stuff. And now, EXCEL in a position that they're going to be very comfortable with. 4 kills in their favor. 3,000 gold thereabouts as well.
Yeah, and a strong Kai'Sa. That's what you want as these guys. And now it's going to be Hyperion. I like this. Move towards the mid lane. Open up the map there.
Ooh.
And Taxer's now being pressured by Demo.
Almost gets a kill, but manages to survive the turret.
And that's Demo's story all game, though. At a certain point, that's really going to start hurting him. And now they're going to be able to stick with the Herald. They still have a very strong engage. They're going to try force it onto his ear.
Can they find any more is the question.
Dan!
Dan diving on into Rippy, but can't find the kill. Gets taken on down by Venza. Now potentially in trouble the side of Hyperion as Venza wants to go forward and find a double. He may be able to get more. If he can land the killer instinct, will he go in is the question. Sendo on the front line. Yusa, he is dead. 3 kills for Hyperion. And at this point, EXCEL look unstoppable.
Yeah, I mean, Hyperion just get taken apart there. Venzer as well, standing up. And this is kind of a shout back to the Venzer we saw at EU Masters, the thing that really brought them through games. So let's have a look here. They try to combo down onto the Azir. Dan goes to the dive. Quickset saves him. Really well played from Quickset there to get the full knock-up as well. Now they continue the dive as Hyperion after losing this, even though ADM is out of mana. That hurts. And that gives Venzer the double kill. Then they chase this down. I like this. Sendo actually hits the barrels and flashes at the same time, so he keeps the move speed as he goes. And that gives him enough time to catch up to Yusa, and then Quickset just finishes it off.
Beautiful stuff coming through from EXCEL. 7-0. Gold lead just continually growing in their favor. And this is the kind of game that we anticipated we would see potentially in Game 2. This is the kind of dominance that we really want.
Yeah, that's how they should be stalling out games. Good vision control around the sides, making sure Lee Sin can't get plays off. Yes, he's come very close to making plays, but all he needs are those blinking health bars to get out of the back of the fights, and suddenly Lee Sin looks like a kind of big old question mark of why would you bother picking this? Obviously, we know why based on the previous game, but if this had been the first game you pick Lee, it would look much more questionable.
This is a really rough position to be as Hyperion, because it's around this stage of the game that you're making the proactive plays and winning the team fights. Yeah, you're making the proactive plays all right, but they just haven't executed the way you want them to. Demos looked relatively good, but just not finding that extra 1% required. Here, Snuggly may be caught out. Yeah. Here comes the engage from Venza. Yeah, flashes away, jumps over the wall though to safety.
Most importantly, this is the Venzer we saw at EU Masters, the one that was able to face off against Origin. The one that almost carried EXCEL against Origin. Much, much closer to that than what we've seen previously of Venzer in other series.
Really solid stuff so far.
Oh!
All the way back to the base.
Damn.
That's
if only they could take every tower on the way. Okay, we're seeing everything now.
Yeah.
I like it.
Vision.
Okay.
What is vision? When you can see the entire map.
Yeah. Why don't people just ward like this? That makes it so much easier.
I can see everything. This is too much power for one man.
I can see clearly now the rain has gone. Instead, there are so many obstacles in their way. EXCEL looks so strong. They're just going to be able to continue this push. They're actually going to send another person down there to punish Poppy. That's got to be another kill.
You'd think so. The only way Dan gets out of this one. And at this point, it's just customary for EXCEL that if a Hyperion member is overextended like Demo.
Hello, Demo.
Well, I mean, Demo might actually just...
Hello, Taxer.
Taxer just survives everything, actually. That was a Syndra ult. Survived, now Demo's over the wall, but dead. Holy moly, the damage from Venza too much. This is just it. EXCEL are just going to continue doing this.
It's almost like this is what EXCEL should want every game.
This is
and when they don't, that is massive, massive misplays coming out for them. I'm glad
they don't get to go to Chocolate Town.
No. I'm glad that they have shown that they are this team. They are able to make consistent calls, be proactive. Because if they end up going forward off a performance like this, and looking at a 7k gold lead at 17 minutes, you have to assume they're going forward. They should be making every performance as clean as this Game 3. Biggest issue I foresee with them is they only really have a game this clean when literally nothing happens for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So you have to be very wary and very controlled with your vision to make sure you can hold out a game like that.
Yeah, no, it's true.
And I mean, a lot of that also comes down to the fact Rippy just about survived with Barrier a lot of those plays. There were a lot of those plays where it really could have gone either way. And I wonder if you had Demo with, say, 2 kills from mid lane, if this game would change.
I just wonder why it is that to see the dominant play that we've seen tonight in Game 3s from Enclave and Barrage, that it's required.
Oh yeah, Enclave and EXCEL for sure.
Yeah. Enclave and XL, you just don't expect it. Dan,
I mean, it was well timed. It was smart.
he's actually
but
Taxa, he's actually got away.
I actually like that. Taxa started the Predator and went, doesn't he have W? Can he just stop my engage? And just runs off. Turns right back around.
Lovely. Dan says, not today. Wow. We got the Drake spawned. We got Baron in a minute. Hyperion, they cannot get close enough to XL to team fight on their terms. XL won't allow them.
This is a bit of a rough one, and this could well be Hyperion kind of struggling to find their mark. Kind of struggling to make sure they stay in Forge of Champions.
That's all it comes down to in this game 3. Effectively just a best of 1 where you know the opposition relatively well. You've played them a couple times recently.
Yeah. Twice, one might say.
And
But,
at this point, XL really just doing what they should have done in game 2 with the draft that they had. Dominating in this game 3.
yeah. And yeah, you can kind of go, oh look, they're not making all these crazy flashy plays. They don't need to. They're 9 kills up. Every flashy play is kind of outweighed by the chance they can just push up towers like this and win in terms of siege. One of the biggest strengths of Azir is when you set up a siege like this. First of all, he can cut off any re-engages by putting up his own tower. And secondly, he can be a lot of poke. But now it's Quickseth, forced to flash out.
Happy to do so.
You
It
have
is
Sendo in the top lane in the meantime.
Yeah, it is obviously like one of your main engaged tools in the Alistair down, but you've still got Gragas. You've still got Rippy to some extent.
You still got a very strong split push over in Gangplank, who can also ult down. When that's up, back up, of course, but
Yep.
still.
And the great thing is that the ult kind of neglects,
neglects
negates.
people.
It negates some of the need to have someone hard flash engage, because if you've mispositioned and the ult can cut you off, then you don't need a flash to force that engage. You just need to walk up to them.
I must say, after all the games we've had today, I didn't expect a game 3 to be this relaxed. It's been very, this is pretty standard, this is what they should be doing. They're doing it, albeit a bit slowly.
Yep.
They're still doing it. They're getting control over the Baron now. All they need to do is maintain vision control of this area. They should have more people ready to respond to this. They do now. And you can see it's already forcing Hyperion back. Now is when they establish full control of the area. Instead, they're actually, again, coming down to respecting Hyperion. Probably a little too much right now, considering how far ahead they are. They should be just playing up, using the fact that Venzer can near one-shot people to their advantage.
Yeah, I mean, Venz is definitely not going to be diving onto the backline this game, especially against the Syndra.
Yeah.
But he is doing a lot of damage. Maybe...
I think what they're doing is that they're allowing them respect because they've decided Sendo's going to be their dedicated split pusher anyway.
Sure.
So they're able to hold off on that. They're just allowing them time to set up. In the meantime, Hyperion go for the desperation play on this Baron.
Yep.
And desperation it is.
Snuggly flashes forward. Quickseth, the one locked up. No flash this time to escape. He will just be left to dead. And Sendo will take the inner tower. A user? Okay. Ill used. How does that happen?
That was very close. Now it's XL who are going to be able to re-engage. This is what they want.
Yep. Hammers, Anvil misses onto Venza.
Yep.
He is able to
Keeper's
escape.
verdict going.
Yeah.
And then it is Hyperion again, forcing the back foot, to be expected, and now they've given up the split push. They decided that was their best course. They might be able to get a kill off it. They were hoping maybe to get the Baron off it.
Ooh.
Instead, you end up with a very strong Sendo now in the side lane.
Flashes away from the Syndra. May just be dead regardless. Yep. Well, he gets a movement speed
Yeah,
prop.
he gets the move seed. I'm actually not sure about that. Now it's XL trying to do both. Much more proactive play, and they're going to pick up Demo on the side as well.
Easy stuff, easy stuff. That's Demo dead. The Baron does reset, but there's no jungler to...
You have Kai'Sa. That's
Doesn't
fine.
matter. All good.
Predatoring back just to speed this up that little bit more. Like that from Taxi. Likely taking Ingenious Hunter anyway, so it's actually not the longest cooldown.
Yeah.
You can tell it actually is Ingenious Hunter because the little cooldown bar on the side.
Snuggly was going to steal it.
I believe. Yusa, can you get the steal?
Nah.
Can he pick up Taxer? Actually, Taxer extremely low. But it's actually Yusa who almost gets picked up.
If the rest of the team was ready for that catch, then that's a dead AD carry right there.
Yeah.
Well and truly.
Unfortunately for XL. not quite. Fortunately for EXCEL though, over a 10k gold lead. It's not bad. Not bad at all.
10-1. 10k gold lead. 6 turrets to 1.
Yeah,
Baron buff.
It's actually, there's been...
2 Drakes.
Almost 11,000 gold lead. Or about, yeah, just around 11,000 gold lead. And there's been 11 kills.
Yeah.
That's kind of the how EXCEL have been playing this one. Slowing it down, not allowing Hyperion to, you know, thrive in the fiesta that those previous games were. EXCEL playing it slowly and winning out for that. And as you said, it comes down to the question of why isn't this every game?
Yeah.
Why is this their game 3? Why isn't this their game 1 and 2 and then have a nice clean series?
I mean, we've all been to uni. No, I mean, so we've all like had deadlines that we've had to have, and time is always the biggest motivator. Like, necessity is always the biggest motivator. I just don't think it's a healthy position to be as a competitive team where the potential of losing a series is the reason that you play your best League of Legends.
Yeah, and I mean, on the other side, we saw it was largely because of Rift, who they were trying to rest. And you can understand that from Enclave. EXCEL.
Oh, this is the engage onto Quickseth.
This should be the end.
It's going to be the re-engage, though, onto Demo. Pretty much dead to the red buff. He goes down. Venza going to go onto Dan XD now. Snugly with the disengage. Venza, can he find any more? Doesn't look like it will happen just now. But with the jungler down and engage 2 as well for the side of Hyperion, with Taxa finding ADM all caught out. That is all she wrote. Time for these turrets to fall and EXCEL to push into the base.
I actually like that. It was kind of Rippy playing up, and the ADM started walking forward. It's like, oh, I think I could burst Rippy. They just immediately swap him with the Gragas. It's like, oh no, down I go. And that is the close for EXCEL, securing themselves the spot in Barcelona, near certainly.
Yeah, that's going to be Venza picking up Dan XD. Demo Yusa Snugly to try and keep things alive. They're going to take down this inhibitor just for get those minions down onto the Nexus turrets. Yusa's dead. Snugly's dead. They're all dead. Hyperion's dream is dead. And EXCEL show us that they can play some League of Legends here tonight. They win the series 3-1. And they're through to the semi-finals, punching a ticket to Barcelona.
Yeah, 2-1 victory to EXCEL, finishing off in a clean game. And like, so many questions getting asked. The main one being like, why is this? Why did this take so long? I asked it in game. I have to ask it again. I'm just like, it seems so simple. It seems like you just get vision control. You control that bot side. You slow it down, and then in game 2, you would have comfortably won based on that draft. That's the exact same thing could have happened, but it just didn't.
Yeah. Pretty simple stuff.
It's at least a lot better game from Venza. Didn't put himself in any over-aggressive situations, only really right at the end when he ulted directly into a Poppy Steadfast Presence, the only real issue. Other than that, didn't really cost him his life. It's other than that, it's just fairly clean close-up from the team, and I did like what Sendo was doing on the sideline as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's more what you'd want from that sideline pressure. You know, he committed to that split. He knew he could still impact the team fights with his ultimate. Still think that's the kind of thing you should be doing with the Darius anyway, but here we are. Either way, they end up winning out the game.
One big thing, I guess, to kind of take from that damage chart was that ADM's impact wasn't nearly as much as it has been on the Orianna.
Yeah.
Syndra's a pick that he's very comfortable with, has picked it multiple times throughout the Forge of Champions, but one that he just wasn't able to have the impact on today.
Yeah, unfortunately won't matter for him anymore as he's not going to be in the tournament, but that Orianna was just so crucial to him and so crucial to his success. You can see that was 7-0-6 in game 1. Game 2 carried them off of some really key shockwaves, and game 3 just the Syndra 0-2-1, I believe it ended.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can see there wasn't a huge amount going on in that game because EXCEL slowed it down. They played the game without having to fight. I believe it was, you talked about that before, Icer, this is almost the coach's dream. They didn't have to force any crazy plays. They just won through sheer map movements, through effectively playing to the strength of their draft, which was we could set up sieges effectively.
I think someone got very angry in between game 2 and 3 and then told them that they have to play a certain way. Yeah. Because their draft was perfect in game 2 and they failed completely. So game 3, they actually play cleanly to like that classic coach's style that we talk about,
And this is something that we talked about in-game as well. We talked about how Ferndog's great at resetting mental. Apparently he was great at resetting the mental after you haven't had any mental all series.
Yeah, right.
It's nice to see that he's able to still drag them into game 3 and go, look, those 2 games were not clean. That's not what you want to be bringing out. Game 1, you kind of dragged it back, and once you were back in control, it was okay. Game 2, you just didn't. Game
Such
3,
strong mental, he
completely
can create
reset.
mental.
Yeah.
It's
Genuinely. Creating it from nothing.
I mean, it's
Truly
often
forging it.
it's
That
often
is the name of the tournament.
it's often said that like teams will have that person on their team that really brings the best out of them.
Yeah.
Oh.
Often it's the person who works the hardest, but also shouts the loudest.
We've seen 2 series.
It's always
where
good to have that as a coach.
We've seen 2 series where those are 2 crucial members in the team. It was Rift in Series 1.
Yep.
And it's been seemingly Ferndog in Series 2.
We'll have to see later on. I think Venzer as well stepping up in game.
Yeah.
I agree. And Venzer's performance
Definitely
was
impressive.
great. Let's have a look at the bracket because we now have 2 teams through to the semi-finals. They are on opposite sides of the bracket, so you don't get too many spoilers just yet. But with Enclave winning 2-1 over Barrage, a pretty strange result. EXCEL 2-1 over Hyperion, maybe slightly more expected considering the possibility of an upset. They're both through the semi-finals on opposite sides of the bracket. And then we have 2 more quarterfinals to come, and I'm sure we can pull up the match schedule so that we can get the times on those as well. For tomorrow's broadcast, it will be starting with Wind and Rain versus Diabolus, then Misfits Academy up against M&M Gaming. These games are much closer as far as skill is concerned, and we've already seen the 2-2-1s from the 2 widest as far as skill could be concerned. So I am super looking forward to seeing what comes through and seeing if Misfits can find the same dominance they did in Qualifier 4. If Diabolus with a new roster can find some idea of what's been going wrong since the first qualifying tournament. If Wind and Rain can continue to be consistent, but they need to be better than consistent. And then M&M, like they've just been mediocre. They've not been bad. They've not been good. They've just existed and done all right.
Existence tends not to you can't just exist somewhere.
So looking forward to looking forward to it. We've just been told that there is going to be a game interview, so stick around with the winners from EXCEL. Believe it may even be Venzer as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's really
the
cool.
MVP for the last game. What was
For
it,
sure.
10-0-4? I think it was at the end of the game. Yeah.
Yep.
And certainly, if I want to try, even if you put side by side game 1 Venzer to game 3 Venzer, there was such a massive improvement as well.
Yeah.
Even on the same champion, so it's even easier to compare like that.
I mean, even in game 2, I wouldn't say he played awfully. It's just the team as a whole didn't know when to pull the trigger.
Yeah. Yeah.
Game 1, just cleaning up the act on the Kaiser. Pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
100%.
Definitely allowed for EXCEL to have Kensai in team fights for much longer. But ultimately, it's good to see the dominant side come out from EXCEL and Enclave.
Yeah.
That's the thing that you really do have to look to and go, right, well, that is their best. That is their scariness.
Yeah, my worry, if you want to compare the 2 teams then, is, well, Enclave had it because one of their players was missing. Why did EXCEL?
Yep.
Why wasn't EXCEL like that?
Maybe
And
too
that's-
relaxed.
Maybe we'll find out in this interview.
Yeah,
Perhaps.
that's possible. Absolutely possible. Just waiting on this this post-game interview to start up here. Should be a good one.
Yeah, I honestly think there's as you said, in the series there was a lot of questions raised.
Yep.
That hopefully we can shed some light on.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more, we had a lot of questions in this series already, not necessarily directed towards anyone.
Right.
I think
directed
it's
towards the sky in a lot of cases.
I think it stops being questions and starts being question mark pings just in real life.
Yeah.
Just everywhere over the entire broadcast.
All right. Well, let's throw it over to the interview stage. We do have Venza connected and ready to go. How are you doing, Venza?
Yo, hello guys. What's up?
Good to talk to you. Congratulations on your quarterfinal win. How are you feeling after that match?
I'm feeling like extremely relieved, happy.
I could see that. I mean, certainly that series got very close. It was a long one. So how do you think your kind of mentality shifted between games? Because certainly I was just saying there that from your play in game 1 to your play in game 3, you just looked much, much stronger.
So I think like game 1 was actually like not like playing differently. I think they had like such a awkward comp to play an AD carry against because they had Orianna, Malphite, Trundle, Braum, so it's really hard to actually auto attack people without dying. So game 2 was we tried something different. We tried something we're not so proficient on, and it backfired a bit. So going into game 3, we just went back to full comfort.
Yeah, we kind of talked about the game 2 draft. It felt like it was one of those really good competitive drafts. Got everything that you wanted there, but element of complications, I suppose. It is difficult when most of your damage is coming from that melee aspect, and I feel like Hyperion, with their early game advantage, were able to kind of weather that storm and then push back at you. Tonight we've actually seen the bottom 2 teams push back against the top 2 teams. What do you have to say about that, just as a general observation? Do you think that shows that the bottom 2 teams are competing at a high level, or is this just a case of potentially, not preparing for what they can achieve?
I think the bottom tier teams are actually, like, the bottom or middle tier teams are actually not as bad as people think. I think it's way closer than most people give it credit for, and maybe there's like a case of top teams kind of underperforming against bottom teams, but I feel like the bottom teams are just way stronger than people give them credit for.
I think we agree with that, especially with Hyperion as well, who have shown on their good days they are relatively good, and unfortunately on their bad days they just haven't quite been hitting the mark. But EXCEL now, they have a clear route through to the semi-finals. Looking forward to your next matchup in the semi-finals. You're either going to be playing up against M&M Gaming or Misfits Academy. Which of the 2 opponents are you, wanting to go up against or want to go up against?
So me personally, I want to go up against Misfits just so we can get back at them for the last split and for the loss we had in Tournament 4. But I feel like the easier one is going to be M&M.
Yeah, no, it's the pragmatic and also the...
That's probably fair. I think with Misfits getting Special back as well, do you think that's going to have the same kind of performances that Leader brought out, or do you think this is your chance to take him down?
I think Special is actually an upgrade over Leader, especially for Misfits, because they played with him for so long, and he's like a very versatile player, and I've heard from players that he's also like a big voice in the team, like a shot calling element, so I think it's an upgrade for them.
Yeah, I think
the same thing. Yeah,
I think it's going to be pretty strong. Quick question: what's going on with the T-shirt? Have you been in a bear fight recently?
Oh, I think that's just like from the first game where I just got chained Malphite Oriana ulted.
Yeah, you sure?
Just tattered up my clothes IRL.
Yeah. Is Ferndog treating you right? Like,
it's like the Yu-Gi-Oh anime. It affects you in the game and real life.
Yeah, so some people.
Yeah, I got sent to the Shadow Realm a few times.
That was rough, but for sure. I mean, I think Hyperion, they get knocked out here. Do you think they would have had better performances against maybe some of the other teams?
Yeah, especially teams like M&M and Barrage.
Definitely. I think they would have had an easier time against teams like M&M or Barrage, or even Enclave, like when they play without Rifty. I feel like I think they would beat Barrage for sure. Close game with M&M, and I don't know about Enclave.
I mean, we've already seen them take down Diabolus, so you would imagine they should be able to take on M&M as well. So it's interesting to see kind of how, as you said, how close some of these top 8 teams are.
I was actually surprised. I'm really impressed by Hyperion this series and in general throughout the split. Like, even though they didn't make it far in a lot of tournaments, I feel like they have some really good players.
Yeah, it's a team to watch, especially over time if they continue to develop it. Quick question: who's the best AD carry in the UK?
I think it's obviously only Angel from Twitter Randoms.
Good response. Congratulations. Fantastic win. Looking forward to seeing you next week in Barcelona. Oh, not next week, next fortnight in Barcelona for the semi-finals and grand finals. Good luck preparing, and we wish you all very well in the EXCEL house.
Good luck, man.
Thank you, guys.
Good luck.
Peace out.
Thank you. Well, that pretty much rounds up things tonight. We've had 2 very surprising series. Not really the kind of series you were expecting from the 4 teams that we had here, but the top 2 teams do eventually pull things together. They show us why they're at the top, close things out nicely, and progress to the semi-finals. Tomorrow, like we said, we've got 2 more series, and these ones much more closer.
Are expected to be closer. Let's
these are going to be
the expectations.
I mean, I've now said that they're going to be 2-0 stomps and they're going to be all finished in 20 minutes. That's the expectation that I'm going into tomorrow based on today's results. I mean, I can't think of anything else really
Top tier
about that.
analysts, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a pleasure, guys. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Forge of Champions. Make sure you tune in again tomorrow at 6 p.m, the regular time on this Twitch channel for the second round of quarterfinals. In this knockout stage, the playoffs, we will find out soon who will be the Forge champion. Until then, I've been Dalsy. We'll catch you guys all later.